Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the Fantasy Football GOAT, and I'm here going over my top 10 running backs. Now, first we have Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is my 10th running back. Welcome to the channel, by the way. New channel, first video. Yeah, I love fantasy football. If you guys love fantasy football, definitely subscribe. I'm going to be having a lot of future uploads. So, I'm going to be going over Josh Jacobs as my number 10, and I'll narrow it down to number 1. Josh Jacobs, I have ranked 10 on my list. Jacobs, I feel, is a really safe player because there's nobody else on the Raiders' backfield that would take away any carries. Also, recently it came out that Jon Gruden vowed to give Jacobs more carries this season, but take it with a grain of salt, though. With Jon Gruden, honestly, you just never know. Josh Jacobs ended last season with 191 PPR points. Now, let's change that so you guys can see. 191 PPR points and average 14.7 fantasy points per game. For a rookie running back, that's really good. I mean, coming into his second year, I see a lot of potential. He definitely has high upside. He played 13 games in his first season, 242 attempts, and 1,150 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 4.8 yards per run on average, which is really good. He caught 20 passes out of 27 targets for 166 yards. He had 6 games with over 20 carries, 2 of those games having over 25 carries, 5 games with over 100 yards rushing, and 1 99-yard game. He ended 2019 being the RB20. ESPN has him RB11 and has him being drafted around the 21st overall pick. Now, if I would get him 21st overall pick, I would definitely be happy about that. This is going to be PPR, guys. I'm focusing all these stats and stuff on PPR. So yeah, Josh Jacobs being my RB number 10, as I just went over. Why? Now I'm going to be going over my RB 9, Miles Sanders. Let me change it to PPR. Miles Sanders is my RB 9 right now. Again, with Sanders, I feel like he has a lot of upside, but I feel he has a lower floor than Jacobs with more bust potential. Sanders got a little nicked up in camp, but nothing too serious. From what I've heard, he's week to week. Miles Sanders was RB 15th last year, as you guys can see right here next to fantasy points. He was ranked RB 15th. And he had a lot more potential. Jordan Howard suffered an injury, and Miles Sanders definitely took advantage. Sanders had 179 carries for 818 yards, 3 touchdowns with a 4.6 average. Again, this is really good. You could see a lot more volume this year not having Jordan Howard in there with him. Sanders could have anywhere from 240 to 280 carries is what I'm projecting him to have if he doesn't get hurt and can stay healthy. His rushing stats were good, but his receiving stats were even better. He had 50 receptions, 63 targets, which you could definitely see more of because the Eagles could be coming from behind late in games this year. 509 yards with 3 touchdowns receiving. He ended 2019 with 218 PPR points. Right now, ESPN has him RB8 and getting picked around the 16th overall pick in PPR leagues on ESPN. Now, that is definitely some value getting Miles Sanders at 16th. I definitely don't know if realistically he'll be there. I mean, he might. It'll be. I think he'll be going anywhere from around the 12th pick, anywhere from the 18th pick to the 20th pick. You know, if he falls, I'm definitely picking Miles Sanders if he's there mid to late round, second round. My RB8. Let's go over my RB8 right now is Austin Ekeler. Okay, Austin Ekeler is somebody I've really been looking to target in some of my fantasy leagues. Last year he shined and got more opportunities due to Melvin Gordon holding out for some of the season. Ekeler had 132 carries, 557 yards, 3 touchdowns with a 4.2 average. Let me make sure I change this to PPR. Well, it's not bad. It's not fantastic. So you might be asking why I have him RB8. Well, he had 92 catches, 108 targets, and 993 yards receiving with 8 touchdowns, finishing RB4 with 309 PPR fantasy points. That is just fantastic. That's just crazy to me. With me not having much faith in the Chargers offense this year, they could be okay, they could be bad, you never know. I still see Ekeler doing really well. I project him to have 200 to 240 carries, but playing from behind some games, I think he will have a lot of catches this year in PPR leagues. And we love running backs that can catch out of the backfield. he also averaged 19 points per game, which I can definitely see him repeating. And I can see him repeating similar stats receiving. Maybe not as good because he almost reached 1,000 yards receiving, but maybe something like that this year. Going to my RB7, I have him high up. You guys might disagree with me there. Let me know in the comments down below where you have him as your running back. Okay, this is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, I definitely like him this year. He's one of my favorite running backs right now. Coming into his rookie season, I see him with the highest ceiling out of all the guys I just named. I think he has, the highest ceiling, and his floor isn't low at all. Being on the Chiefs, who I believe will be a top scoring offense this year, if not first, then definitely top 3 in scoring this year, which leaves a lot of room for Clyde to produce a lot of fantasy points. Just remember Kareem Hunt's rookie season with the Chiefs. Kareem put up 272 carries, 1,327 yards, 8 touchdowns, 53 receptions, 63 targets, 455 yards, and 3 touchdowns, posting 295 fantasy points total. And yes, I know Patrick Mahomes wasn't playing that year, but I believe he would have made Hunt even better having a great passing attack and not being one-dimensional. Clyde has no one to compete for carries. He will have the backfield to himself. I see him getting Offensive Rookie of the Year and putting up fantastic numbers on the Chiefs' offense. His play in college was really good, and he was on a great offense. He comes into another great situation with the Chiefs. Now, that's all I got for Clyde. Definitely like him. I'm going to target him. Now, on to the next. Dalvin Cook. I have Dalvin Cook as my RB6. Now, Dalvin Cook is a fantastic running back, and now I'll go over the numbers he had this year. Let me change it to PPR so you guys can take a look yourself. Dalvin Cook played 14 games, had 250 carries, ran for 1,135 yards, and 13 touchdowns. His receiving stats were also really good. 53 receptions, 63 targets, 519 yards receiving, finishing 2019 as the RB6, and finishing with 292 PPR fantasy points. Now, that is really good, guys. I will take that all day. He had 7 games with over 20 carries. The Vikings love to run the ball. The reason I have him RB6 and not higher is because of the risk factor. Dalvin Cook isn't the safest player. He will have a heavy workload, which could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing, knowing that there's a higher risk that he would get hurt, and he's gotten injured in past seasons. I like Dalvin Cook because if he stays healthy, he could be a top running back, but that's just a risk I'm not willing to take over some of the players that I'm about to name. Now, next, RB5, we got Derrick Henry, guys. Derrick Henry is my RB5. It was always a decision between him and Dalvin Cook as who I would place higher. But like I just mentioned, Dalvin Cook has a way higher risk factor than Henry does, in my opinion. Let me go over his stats. Derrick Henry had 303 carries, 1,540 yards rushing, and 18 touchdowns, with another 17 receptions and 2 receiving touchdowns. Ending, let me see. He had 16 touchdowns rushing, 2 receiving, 18 total. Sorry about that. Ending 2019 as the RB5 with 294 PPR fantasy points. As we all know, Henry is an absolute beast. I expect him to get similar stats to last year if he can stay healthy. When I mean stay healthy, I just mean be healthy, because he really hasn't gotten hurt in the past. No one in the backfield would take away any carries from Derrick Henry, and they run the football, man. The Titans are a good team with good defense and great run game. They will be running the football 15 to 25 times a game. Let me go down a little bit so you guys can see all the attempts. Yeah. He had 7 games with over 20 carries. 3 of those games having over 25, and 1 of those games having 32 carries. He only had 1 game in the whole entire last season with less carries than 15. That's just incredible. I think he's going to eat up this year and do similar to what he did last year. Now let me move on to Alvin Kamara, or Kamara, however you guys want to say. I'm going to say Kamara, my RB4. Kamara played last season hurt with a knee injury, but still playing in games. He finished RB9 with 171 carries, 797 yards, and with a 4.7 average, 5 touchdowns, and good numbers knowing that he was playing hurt. He had 81 receptions, 97 targets, 533 yards, and 1 touchdown, ending with 248 PPR fantasy points. Let me change it to PPR so you guys can see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's just great. He also played 14 games. With Drew Brees being healthy this year, he missed 5 games last year, I believe. Could be 6. I don't know. I thought it was 5. I see Kamara and the Saints having a really good offense. They got Emmanuel Sanders in the offseason, which could be good for Kamara because it takes more defenders out of the box, having one more guy to guard other than Michael Thomas. Now that everyone's fully healthy, I see Kamara putting up better numbers. My projection for him is over 1,000 yards rushing and over 700 yards receiving. He didn't get much touchdowns in 2019, but you can almost definitely count on him getting more in 2020. Moving on to my RB3. Okay, I have Zeke. Zeke is one of my favorite running backs coming into this year, guys. I definitely want Zeke at all costs if I can get him. Zeke finished 2019 as the RB3. But what I love about Zeke is he is so consistent. He's a guy you can count on to get you 20 to 30 PPR fantasy points a game. Dating back to his rookie season, he hasn't really missed games. Let me make sure it's on PPR so you guys can see his points. Yeah, dating back to his rookie season, he hasn't really missed games. Getting over 300 carries 3 out of 4 seasons. Getting over 1,300 yards rushing in 3 out of 4 seasons. But let's look back at last year. He had 301 carries. 1,357 rushing yards with 12 touchdowns, and he's always been solid in the passing game with 54 receptions, 420 yards, and another 2 touchdowns, racking up 311 PPR fantasy points, and I can definitely see him putting up similar stats. Zeke is definitely one of the safest, more consistent players in this league. Yeah, and he's on a good offense with the Cowboys. I see them doing well this year. Next to my number 2, Saquon Barkley. Is my RB2. Now, this one, I don't really think it needs an explanation. He played 13 games last season. Let me change it to PPR. Yeah, and with 217 carries and 1,003 yards, 6 touchdowns, 52 receptions, 438 yards, and another 2 touchdowns, ending with 244 fantasy points, PPR fantasy points. I have him putting up way better numbers now, being fully healthy and having a better team than they did last year with an improved offensive line. From everything coming out of the offseason, he looks bigger and better than ever, which is a very good sign. Now, number 1, it's not Christian McCaffrey, guys. It's shocking. He's not in my number 10. Psych, sorry guys, had to do it to you guys. Christian McCaffrey is my RB1, as he is for, I would say, 99.9% people. I mean, let's just keep it like that. McCaffrey is my number 1. My RB number 1, he finished 2019 as the best running back, playing all 16 games, 287 carries, 1,387 yards, and 15 touchdowns with 116 receptions, 141 targets, and 1,005 yards, plus 4 more touchdowns, totaling 19 touchdowns over the season and ending with 2,300 scrimmage yards. Wow, that's just incredible, guys. It's just rare. You've never seen that. I've never seen that before. And in 2019 with 471 fantasy points. That's just insane. Averaging 29 points per game. It's been a long time since I've seen this from a running back. I don't think it's possible for him to repeat that, but it's hard to doubt him because of how good he's been, guys. It's just having 5 games with over 10 receptions or more and 6 games with over 20 carries. He is definitely my RB1 this year. Good thing about Christian McCaffrey is I just think he's like a wide receiver and a running back combined. He might get you, he should get you over 900 yards receiving, over 1,000 yards rushing. He's just the full package, guys. That's the good thing about him. Now, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see more, comment, let me know down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I have one planned coming out soon. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.